Hello, everyone. Hey, we're heading out east. We're going out to the Big Apple. We're going out to New York. We're going to go see one of the most physical, one of the most highly demanded guards we have in the 2026 class. Let's have her go introduce herself.
Hi, my name is GiGi Battle. I am in the 11th grade and I'm a combo guard.
There we go. Well, welcome, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to do this. So, I would say let's start way back when we first began. What's some of your earliest memories of basketball?
Well, my whole family played basketball continues to play basketball.
Hmm.
My brothers play at a really high level, and so did my parents. So I've always been surrounded by the game. But I'd say just, always being in the gym with them, even at a young age, even if I was just running around,
Hmm.
in the gym, I've always been watching the game. I've always been surrounded by it. So just having that support from my family is something that really allowed me to grow and allow me to get better in my game.
Awesome. So, who wins the family one-on-one tournament? Who's coming out of that?
Definitely me,
Fair.
maybe Kayla, but Tyus might have a chance also. But the three of us are really competitive in that area. Our whole family's competitive, so have being in that sort of environment is definitely something that pushes me.
Fair. How would you say your game is different, like from your parents' game? Like you said, they were in the game. How is your game different from what their game was like?
Well, I'd say I'm kind of like a mix of both of them.
Hmm.
So my mom was a really aggressive player. She played like the four.
Okay.
So she was really in the paint, hitting bank shots. But she was really aggressive. My dad was a shooter. He still is a shooter. He can always knock down a shot, but he was also a playmaker. He was a really strong point guard, and he facilitated the game really well. So I'd say, I'm aggressive like my mom, and I still am developing my offensive game like my dad. So that kind of
Fair.
makes me a mix of both of them. So that's like the difference.
Fair. Understandable. And then, so we'll always say, if someone hasn't seen you play, you kind of got into a little bit, touched a little bit. If someone hasn't seen you play, how would you describe yourself as a player to someone that's missing out and not haven't seen you play yet?
Yeah, I would say I'm a very versatile player. I'm really strong on both ends of the floor. Defensively, whoever's in front of me, I'm guarding them, I'm picking them up, I'm locking them down, I'm making sure they're not getting to the basket, they're not getting an easy shot. Offensively, I'm still, growing my game every
Hmm.
single day. But I get to the rim with ease. I'm really strong, and whoever's guarding me, I make sure that they know that I'm strong. I use my body. I finish with contact. So yeah, I'm very versatile, very well rounded.
Like it. What would you say is the aspect of your game that you're hoping to kind of continue to add and continue to work on right now?
Yeah, like I said, my offensive game. My dad and my coaches have been really helping me in that area. My ball handling is definitely improved. So I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season because I'll be able to showcase all of my new skills.
Love it. And then we can talk about, last year for you kind of as a player, and how would you think the high school season went for you? How do you think you maybe grew as a player throughout the high school season?
I think the high school season went pretty well for me. Our last couple of games, I had a huge role in making sure we were finishing strong and winning and playing as a team. Um, and I had Michaela Blakes by my side, and she was a really big help. And I feel like I was a really big help to her as well. So being able to play with her and us two being in the backcourt was something that really helped our team.
I like it. So Michaela, like the high level player, going off to Vanderbilt. What would you say maybe the one thing you kind of learned from her, kind of picked up from playing around her, being around her every day?
I would say her pace. Her offensive pace is something that's really, really big in her game.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's able to get a shot whenever she wants. If she has the ball, she's going to shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I learned a lot from her in that area. And it's definitely carried on to my game for sure.
So New Jersey basketball. How would you describe that? So I'm someone here in Minnesota, so it's a different kind of basketball. How would you describe New Jersey basketball to someone like me that maybe doesn't get to experience it as much or see it as much?
Yeah. Well, Jersey basketball is very gritty. There's a lot of girls that are really strong and, have a good IQ and know how to use their strength. I'd say the skill level is definitely increasing compared to past years, but yeah, it's really growing every day, and being able to be around, girls that play in New Jersey, it's like different compared to going to other states. So I really enjoy it.
Absolutely. And then, with AAU, we can talk, kind of had a great season there, play with Exodus. How would you say you grew the most this last season as a player? Starting in April to where you are now, it can be kind of a long season. It can get kind of tiring. How did you grow as a player?
Yeah, so looking back, I definitely grew. I feel like I matured a lot throughout the season, taking advantage of the opportunities that I'm given, and using them to my advantage. Um, and yeah, I think it just made me a stronger player physically, mentally, all the way around.
So we talked about playing for Exodus. It's a pretty well-known program, kind of a historically well program. What does it mean for you to kind of represent that program?
It means a lot, Thomas and the other coaches are really good at what they do. And they push you every single day when you're on the court. They'll scream at you as much as they want, but they know
Mhm.
that it's for the best, and you learn that it's for the best, and they get the best out of you. So they do as much as they can to push you and make you a better player.
So Exodus, I think, is a pretty an EYBL program, if I'm not mistaken. Well, how do you think EYBL prepares you for the next level? You talk about being physical. That's a physical league. That's a strong league. How do you think that prepares you for like the next level and kind of continuing your growth?
Yeah, EYBL is a really physical league, and when you get to that next level, it's even more physical than EYBL is. So, being around that physicality and being around that level of talent is something that you want if you're trying to play at the next level. And, I'm glad to be able to play in the EYBL because I want to be at the next level. So, it's just preparing me to be able to actually play when I do get to that level.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about Michaela. Who are maybe some other ones? Who are some of the best players, AAU or high school, you've had a chance to play with?
Yeah. I would say Olivia Miles,
Oh, okay.
and Miller. Yeah, I trained with them a lot when I was, like COVID years.
Hmm.
So I was able to work with those two, and those are some unbelievably talented players. And Michaela Blake, she's an amazing player. And I'd say, my AAU teammates, they're really good players, and we're all growing every day and helping each other grow every day. So, but yeah, I've been lucky to play with a lot of high level players.
And on the opposite side of that, AAU or high school, who's some of the best players you've had an opportunity to go up against?
Hannah Hidalgo is
Oh,
probably,
geez.
yeah, a huge one. My sophomore year, I played against her at Rutgers Prep, and Zoe Brooks as well. We played against St. John Vianney. So those are two big ones.
Man, that's such a different variety of guards too. Like Hannah's gonna like blinding speed, and Zoe's just gonna pound it
Mhm.
down low. Oof, the Lord.
Right.
Man, I would be tired. I'm just saying.
Yes.
And with AAU and EYBL, you go all over the country. They are in 10 different states, it seems like. Where's some of
Yes.
the favorite places you got to travel with basketball?
Um, I love Chicago. Chicago is
Yes.
probably like my favorite place. My parents and I love going there. Every time we do, it's like amazing because like just the scenery is so beautiful, and we always consider it like just a cleaner version of New York.
Fair.
So we love Chicago. I'd say that's my favorite. But I was actually speaking with my mom on a flight home a couple weeks ago, and we were like, I've been to so many states this year, and so I ended up like counting how many states I've been to, and it's 17 states this summer.
Goodness. I mean, I went to Chicago and I was like, I couldn't do, if I had to do like 17 trips like that, I would be
Yeah,
exhausted.
yeah.
Fair. What's a place that you haven't had a chance to visit yet around the world that's like a dream spot you hope to visit someday?
I'd say London
Fair.
or in the country Hawaii. Hawaii's beautiful. I would love to go there, and I love the beach. So those are two spots that they're different, but they're very beautiful.
Understandable. See, here in Minnesota, I sunburn too easy, so beaches and me just
Mm,
don't get along, but like, I
yeah,
get it. I get it.
right. Yeah.
And so we'll do some quick hits here. I like to kind of see right now, what's your go to basketball shoe?
I really like Katie's. Katie's are really comfortable, and Sabrina's.
If you're going to be a shooter, I mean, Sabrina's the way to go. I mean, you're right there in Jersey. Come on with the Liberty. Come on
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Go to pregame hype song.
Anything by Drake. I'd say Passion Fruit by Drake.
Fair. Go to pregame meal.
Um, I I like to sometimes eat a bagel, but I usually don't eat too much before a game, so I'll just have like a bar or something.
Fair. Any pregame superstitions?
I like to put on my left shoe first and then my right shoe.
Fair. Any WNBA, NBA, or college players you would say you model your game after or enjoy kind of watching?
Jewel Lloyd is a big one. I watch her a lot and I try to, pick some pieces from her. Um, and uh, Celeste Taylor, she's a really
Hmm.
good player as well. And I really enjoyed watching her at Ohio State. And, her being at the Mercury is going to be big for her.
Fair. Game winning three, game winning and one. Which would you prefer?
Game winning and one. And ones are
Fair.
just so tough.
Right, and it's so momentum building. I only tell people, I'm like, see, I'm nervous and I'm a pessimist, so I don't trust officials. And I'm like,
Yeah.
they have to be willing to actually call it. And so that's why I'm always like, with a three, you have at least a little bit more control. Where I'm like, the ref's got to make the right call.
That's true. That's true.
But it's a good one. If you get that and one, it's such a momentum thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it, love it. And then, so we said, highly rated guard, highly demanded guard. That comes with a lot of recruiting attention. And at the 26, they can kind of get right to you directly. They don't have to kind of go through coach or their parents as much anymore. How do you kind of manage that attention and kind of manage all that and make sure it doesn't kind of get overwhelming and kind of become a situation where it's not as much fun as it probably should be?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning of my recruiting process, my parents did help me out a lot because they're really experienced with my brothers.
Hmm.
So, they would always correct me, give me tips, make sure I was on top of each text message, each call. Now that I'm older and I get the calls, like coaches can just call me and text me, I'm really able to manage it myself. And I go through it with my mom a lot, and we write down the coaches that do reach out, when they reach out, during the season, like in between um, periods or in between sessions, we would see which coaches would reach out and which coaches called, which coaches texted. So we manage all of that stuff. But yeah, it can get to be a lot, but it's
Hmm.
when you take a step back and look at it all, it's really good, and
Hmm.
I'm really grateful for it. So.
Love it. So, not any, no specific school situation, but what are some of your non-negotiables as you're kind of going on visits and talking to coaches? What are some of your like box, like check items that you're like, you need to check this to even be on my list?
Yeah. Just the way the coaches coach, their coaching style, how they talk to the players. And a lot of the times when I go on visits, I like to see how the players, like interact with the coaches, how the players look, how the players seem to feel,
Hmm.
and just the environment. And a lot of the time, how I, fit into their group a little bit. When I go on unofficial visits, coaches like to take me around and they like to have me be with the players, so I like to see how I feel around them. And culture's a huge piece as well.
Fair. Someone who, what would you say to someone who maybe is just starting their recruiting journey as maybe advice from you? It's kind of like if they're just getting through it and kind of they're just starting all that process, what would be your one like piece of advice to them?
Yeah, I would say just take your time. There's no need to rush. There's no need to be worried. There's no need to be intimidated. Just be yourself, and as long as you're yourself, I know it sounds cliche, but as long as you're yourself, you're okay. Because if you're being recruited, you're a good player and you know how to play, and coaches want you. So don't second guess that.
Fair. So when we're stepping away from the court, when we're trying to, just decompress and get away from basketball, even though the whole family's probably playing one on one, what would you say maybe some of your like off the court interests, kind of like what do you do to kind of just maybe like reset and get away from the game for a little bit?
Yeah, I have a dog, so
Fair.
I like to be with my dog a lot. I like to ride my bike when the weather's nice, and I like to crochet. I'm a big artist, so I
Fair.
like to do anything in that realm. But yeah, just sometimes it's nice to just sit and some quiet and just crochet for a little bit. So,
Fair, just a nice relaxing thing. It's fair,
right.
fair.
Yeah.
Well, I won't take all your morning. I always end with this. When you've kind of, moved through AAU and done with high school and kind of off to college, what do you hope your legacy is that you leave behind in terms of New Jersey basketball and kind of just basketball in general?
Yeah, well, I hope people see me as a kind but also tough player. Like a
Hmm.
lot of people tell me on the court, like I'm a completely different person. I look like I'm gonna rip someone's head off, but then, when we get off the court, like I'm the sweetest person ever. So I hope people, see me in that light and, what I want them to take from me is that as long as you keep fighting and as long as you keep working hard and doing what you're supposed to be doing, you can go anywhere, you can do anything you want.
Love it. Well, I cannot thank you enough for doing this. You got a great head on your shoulders. Family, you said everything's working in your way. An excellent player. I can't wait to see you in Chicago maybe next year for EYBL. I might have to go out of the Midwest. I might have to actually travel somewhere. So, but
Right.
once again, thank you so much for doing this. Good luck in the upcoming high school season. Good luck. You got one more year AAU. So, good luck with everything. Good luck with travel. Good health the coming year, too.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I
No,
appreciate you having me.
have a great one.
Have a good one.